You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Ian, look at this.
What, it's a police box. What on earth is he doing here? I mean, these things are usually on the street. I feel it. I feel it. You feel it?
Faint vibration.
It's alive.
Earth Station Who, a fun mashup celebrating nearly 50 years of Doctor Who universe. Hold tight. You never know where the TARDIS is going next.
You're probably a bit confused right now. I broke the glass. It's all come back to me.
This. What is this?
That's my ship.
What?
Let me take it from the top. Hello, I'm the Doctor. I'm a traveller in space and time. And that thing buried down there is called a TARDIS. Time and relative dimension in space. You're gonna love this.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Earth Station Who podcast. That's right, folks. We have a guest pick this week, and we have a great one for you. We are looking at Partners in Crime, the 2008 episode that actually kicked off the season of David Tennant's actually last season, full season of Doctor Who. And it actually also brings back Donna Noble as a full-time companion. So it was very interesting to watch again. It's probably been at least 5 years since I've seen this one, and it'll be a lot of great time to talk about it. And let me introduce the person who picked this one. Melanie, you want to say hey to everyone?
Hello, everybody. This is Melanie Dean. I got to pick this episode here of Partners in Crime. It's one of my favorite episodes. If you hear this voice, you're like, wait, Melanie, I think I remember her. I'm over at the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS podcast. So that's probably where you're hearing me from. Otherwise, you might have seen me around the Southeast at different comic conventions, as I am also a portrait artist. So hello, everybody.
That is awesome. And she's a really talented artist, folks. You know, I can attest for it. And she is all around Whovian, beyond Whovians. Her knowledge was great. The couple times I've been sitting in with her and Christian, it's been awesome. And, you know, the big question for you, though, is who is your doctor?
Oh, good Lord. Okay, so I'm one of those people who will split it into classic and new. Classic is always my doctor, is always the fourth doctor. He was my first doctor. He's the one I'm always going to have memories watching with my father on PBS. And new Who, it's I'm going to go with the 10th Doctor. If we had more 9, it would have been 9. If we had more 9, I know it would be 9, but still.
It would have been interesting to see what 9 would have been like further on, you know, after the first season. See how, you know, the character would have evolved, how, you know, Rose would have interacted with him and such. So it'd be very cool to see what would have happened. But it's great to have you here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
And we'll promote your Traveling TARDIS podcast at the end of the show. And definitely, it's really awesome, the stuff Christian's doing. And it's like almost feels like he's recording every other day with it lately. Mm-hmm. And so he's been keeping you busy, which is good.
Oh, absolutely. The good, one of those little shining things that's you could say good about the quarantine with COVID and whatnot is that a lot of people have free time and we can be a captive audience. So we've been very fortunate in being able to get a lot of interviews. So every other minute it's like, hey, are you available? Yes. We've just been recording a lot. So a break time will happen afterwards.
Yeah. You know, after everyone goes back to work, it'll be like everything will disappear. But It'll be good. Take advantage of it as much as you can right now. You know, sometimes, you know, because you guys do the show live now, it's like you have to be ready for everything. You have to be ready to be prepared to talk to celebrities or just conversations between yourself about different Doctor Who topics and such. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So awesome. Well, welcome aboard. We're glad to have you here tonight.
Thank you.
And of course, we have our regulars here. Let's, of course, welcome Mr. Mike Gordon.
Howdy.
How are you this week, sir?
I am peachy keen and ready to lose some weight.
Oh, I think we all are. I think, we're ready to let the fat just walk away. It's going to be awesome. And of course, we have Miss Mary Ogle, who is just perfect in almost every way. So it's awesome.
Yeah, right. Hi, everybody. It is spectacular to be here.
Mary, it's awesome to have you here, and it's going to be a good one to talk about. We might as well, say hey to everybody. And if you guys want to jump in at home, please let us know what you thought about this episode. Please write us back at earthstationwho@esonetwork.com. Definitely would love to hear from you guys. And, have fun with Doctor Who. We're still not getting any new Doctor Who until the holiday season. And after that, I think we're going to be waiting quite a bit longer.
A long time.
So Trial of the Time Lord might be getting closer and closer, as we like to say.
We're going to run out of other things to review.
No, we might go through the whole Big Finish library before we go ahead.
That'll take us the next 40 years.
So I think we're okay for right now, and Trial will still be at the end. That is it. If you ever hear us do Trial of a Time Lord, the series is over. We're done. We're throwing in the towel. So
we're about halfway there, right? This is 250.
This is 250.
Yep.
So
we've I think we've about reviewed about half of the episodes thus far, the stories thus far, including Classic and New Who.
That's cool. Well, it's surprising though how much we still haven't reviewed. You would think, we've talked about so much on the show that you were the other day, you were telling me you went through and actually cataloged the episodes we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah. It took me, over 200 and some episodes to finally go, we should write these down.
We should maybe keep track.
Yeah, it got really bad. It got really bad going back with Google, going into our Google Notes and say, did we review this episode yet? So,
I got really curious just because, we are on episode 250, which is pretty amazing. And, but I was wondering, how many do we have left? Because it seems like we're coming up shy of some. Obviously, we've run out of official 8 Doctor stories and some of the other Doctors as well. So I just wanted to see, what we had and what we had left. So, but it looks like we reviewed about a little less than half of the stories thus far.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I know we have some Sylvesters left. We still have, do we have any Colin Baker left? I think might have one.
No, we're done. We're
done with Colin. We're done with Colin. Okay, we're good. Okay.
Are you just saying that?
Yeah. No, I think there's one story outside of Trial of Time Lord that we haven't done.
Okay. And I know we have some Dr. 5, but we did him last week, so it's going to be a little bit before we see him again. We have the 4th Doctor coming up, and I know next week we're doing the 3rd Doctor. So
yep.
So I know we got that coming up, and I know we're eventually going to do the Faceless ones when that comes out, and there's still a few 2nd Doctor we haven't done, but the 2nd Doctor is a little tricky because we also did some 2nd Doctor on Earth Station 1 before we started this podcast. So those are now canon that we can now jump back in and watch again for the show here.
Which is exactly why, why we're recording this one, as well as a lot of other 10th Doctor, and we've got 9th Doctor, and even some 11th Doctor stories that we can do because, we've decided to, not count all those ones that we did on Earth Station 1.
Well, we have to, do all those stories with Dr. Ruth too now. So that's pretty awesome. So it should be
but not
awesome.
Dr. Phil. Thank God we're done with Dr. Phil.
Oh, I'm glad we're done, Dr. Phil. That's the best part about it. But, it'll be interesting to see. And we're going to still be splashing some Big Finish in between. So
sure.
We definitely have a lot. I think in 2 episodes, I think we might even have chapter 2 of the Paternoster Gang. So it should be actually kind of cool to talk about. So we've definitely got stuff to talk about with Big Finish. We'll eventually jump in with the 8th Doctor because he has some great stories out there that we haven't touched on yet. So, there's companions the Doctor's had that we've never even seen that are all Big Finish companions. So it should be a lot of fun to see. And
Yeah,
of course, we also have River Song coming back. So, he's in our feature.
Da, 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 da.
Well, there's still a lot to cover, and that's just good because we, as we discussed before, outside of the upcoming Dalek episode, we're probably not. I doubt we'll get New Who until 2022.
That's a very good possibility.
Very late 2021.
Yes, and of course, the rumors are still going out there. Oh, this next season is Jodie's last season. She's going to be gone at the end. And it's like...
That rumor is out every season, every Doctor.
Well, to be fair, though, a lot of Doctors do 3 and done.
Yes.
So this will be her 3rd. So, if she sticks to that rule, then it may be her last one.
No, most definitely. So I think
we'll see.
We'll see what happens. I'd like to see her stay longer. I'd like to see her stay past Chibnall. I would love.
I'd like to see
her stay past Chibnall.
I'd like to see her in a good season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just not 1 or 2 good episodes. I want to see her.
Yeah, an actual good season.
Exactly. Oh God! Somebody was talking to me the other day about it, and they were like going, "Well, the rumor is that maybe RTD might come back," and it's like, no, I don't want to see Russell T Davies come back. I'd like to see.
He's not. Yeah, he's not coming back.
No.
Yeah,
he's doing his own stuff.
I heard that Russell T Davies and Stephen Moffat had a love child, and that's who's going to be the showrunner.
That would be awesome. And that's part of the fun with it is, who knows who the next showrunner is going to be, and I hope they have a better comprehension of what Doctor Who is than what's currently going on. So that's just my opinion. So much for not having any news to talk about this week. But happy 250th anniversary, you guys. We made it. 250
Woo-hoo!
episodes.
Woo-hoo!
God, it feels like we've been doing this so much longer. Because we reached Earth Station 1 reached 250 a lot quicker because that was always weekly. We're only weekly here when we do new Doctor Who. Otherwise, we're going through and not knowing every other week because we're trying to spread things out and everything. We had at one point even talked about going every 3 weeks, but then we thought, people will forget us. So we're going to be okay with that. But it's great. This is a big achievement. Most podcasts don't make it past its 10th episode. So we are 250 in, and we got a lot more to go. So I think we're in good shape. And, we have lots of cool people joining us, like Melanie, and it's really awesome. And so let's jump in with both feet, and let's talk all about Partners in Crime. We are going back to April 5th, 2008. This is a 12-year-old episode already. That is just crazy.
Wow.
That makes me feel old.
So let's, Melanie, I'm going to put you in the hot seat here.
Yay!
Why did you pick this one?
It's honestly one of my favorite episodes because it's not a typical Doctor Who episode in the New Who world. Doesn't follow the same kind of formula of, okay, we now arrive to a planet, we're going to go, or probably somewhere on Earth, but we've arrived, there's the bad stuff happening, let's go solve it, okay, we're done. In the sense that the Doctor and the companion are already set, they've already got their relationship, it doesn't have the big monster that's terrorizing everything. This one was a little bit more classic in its sense, and it was a lot more slapstick, which I'm a huge fan of sight gags. It just felt like an old, not just necessarily Doctor Who episode, but just it harkened back to a classic style of filming for like just television in general, where you have the two people who don't run into each other until well it's past the halfway point. And then you have that brilliant sight gag between the two of them is just flat out miming. And it's so rooted in comedy. That's why I just absolutely love this just love this episode.
No, totally understand that. And you're completely right. It is hearkened to more slapstick comedy, more, they just miss each other by inches at times, literally throughout this whole episode. And it was very, very well done. I loved the thought of, the Doctor and Donna, and how they played off of each other. And I'll be the first one. This is the first time on Doctor Who I ate crow, because I was so anti Donna at this point, because I hated her in The Runaway Bride.
Oh, really?
Oh God, I couldn't stand her.
Yeah, I think I did too, and I think a lot of people did too. She did not. I mean, maybe as a one-timer, she was fine, but when they announced that she was going to be the replacement for Martha, I was not happy. I mean, I was a big Martha fan for one thing, and I was not excited about Catherine Tate joining, because that was the Runaway Bride is the only thing I'd seen her in.
Exactly,
so I was
me
not
too.
familiar with her other work. So that was the only picture of that character that I had, and boy, they toned it way down for this one. They refer to her character, of course, to the events of Runaway Bride in this, but it doesn't feel like it's the same character in a lot of ways.
Yes and no. I agree with that, mostly because, I was the same way, Mikey. If she was one and done, I would have been great with it. And her character was loud. It was brash. It's like, oh, I don't want that on the TARDIS. I don't want somebody bitching out the Doctor the whole time she's with him. And I just didn't see it being a good fit. And I was literally the same way when they announced that Nardo was going to be a companion for Dr. 12. And it was just like, oh, Matt Lucas. Oh God, what are we going to do here? And once again, I ate crow because I loved both of them. They both lived up to, beyond expectations. And Donna literally is one of my favorite companions on the new series. And
Donna's my favorite companion of all time. I mean, I adore her.
Now, did you like her from Runaway Bride?
I liked her less in Runaway Bride. I didn't hate her. I don't think I hated her as much as you guys did. But it was kind of a one-note character in Runaway Bride, and it was more about how the character was written. And they would have had to tone it down because you just couldn't sustain that over an entire season. It would have made her too unlikable.
Well,
for the season, I was going to say is that she became the relationship between the Doctor and Donna ended up becoming more familial. So it's very much a brother and sister kind of thing, more of a thick as thieves friendship kind of thing between the two of them. Because I really liked the fact that she would call him out, and I mean in a even so in a comedic way, and just would always kind of challenge him. Where all his companions would challenge him in different ways, but hers was very unique to Donna. But I agree that she was very brash in Runaway Bride, and in this one they toned that down greatly. But I think what helped, I think a lot with it is that this episode, it was very the word I was trying to look for was this vaudeville. It reminded me a lot of those Abbott and Costello kind of meets the Mummy, meets Frankenstein, those kind of films, and that's where I kind of got that relationship between the two of them and how it was filmed in the architecture of this one.
Oh, if they would have had Donna going
died,
I would have been loving every. Come on, Donna, spit it out. What are you trying to say? It would have been awesome. It would have been great. But no, it was awesome. And I felt like they made her a lot smarter for this season than she was. Like you said, very one note in Runaway Bride. But this, she was using her smarts to get information on the Atmos, on the Fat Project and everything. And it was awesome to see. And I just loved what they were doing. And she was almost like being a private detective type thing, trying to figure out what was going on at this place. And, somehow she might have figured, oh, maybe if I do this, the Doctor will be there or something. And they also, in this episode, did a great job of introducing her family, because we had seen Wilf before. And
Yes, we had seen him before.
we had seen him, he was
in a Voyage of the Damned.
exactly.
Yeah.
He was
We hadn't
working.
seen him as part of the
Yeah.
Noble family before.
No. And
No.
but if you remember in the season, next season, in the holiday special, when the Doctor and Wilf were talking, he says, "There's something special about you. I kept on running into you," type thing. And it was a great little twist to have
Even
it
when
be
I was
that.
Peter Cushing.
Well, exactly. See. And I was so happy to see Wilf do it, and I loved it and hated Donna's mom right from the beginning. It was awesome.
Well, I will say that is my nitpick about this episode is RTD's tendency to have the motherish shrew character. I mean, we see that every season with Jackie, with Martha's mom. RTD's mother issues come up every time. And I get tired of watching middle-aged women get stereotyped in this sort of, it's almost like the character, like Donna's character from The Runaway Bride. They're loud, they're brash, they're shrewish, they're not likable.
Funny, she didn't look shrewish.
And there's little nuance to them.
Right. No,
and that,
true.
It starts to piss me off because it just becomes this caricature.
Well, that's one
instead
of the
of a real character.
I hated about RTD's run was he always had to introduce the families of the companions. You never saw that in the old series.
Well, I don't mind the families. I just don't want the families to all be the same.
Well, exactly.
Right.
And
the dynamic is the same. And I thought in this one, it works a little bit better because in order to tone down Donna and to reintroduce people to her, you give her a mother that is abrasive. So therefore she seems less abrasive. and then
in comparison,
and you give him, you give her a grandfather who originally was her father, who unfortunately that actor died while they were making this, so they had to reshoot all those scenes. And Wilfred was not supposed to be in this season at all. It's just amazing considering where his character goes through the rest of Ten's time here. Like he becomes very
iconic character.
And he was the last minute, like, let's get him because this actor passed away. Now I don't know if Jeff Noble, who is the character that was originally in the Runaway Bride, I don't know if he was supposed to end up being like the key to the Doctor's demise, but
who knows?
Yeah, only RTD knows that stuff. But yeah, I definitely though agree that the family's not so bad, but the dynamic has to change. And it does, but it will take someone else coming in to do that.
No, exactly. And that's one of the things I loved was, at least Moffat didn't carry it on from RTD there with the families. And, you saw for one episode, Amy Pond's parents, and you never saw the parents of, the other ones. So it was good.
At least you saw Rory's dad.
Yeah. And you saw Clara's family.
Well, yeah, when the Doctor was naked in front of him. It was awesome.
Yeah.
but yeah, it wasn't the same.
Right.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was pretty, families. Ugh, get rid of them. Don't need it on Doctor Who.
Yeah, well, I think it can work. It's just not. It needs to not be one note, and it became that way, and so it got annoying. But I will also say this episode's a bit story light, but I don't care because it's really about the chemistry between Catherine Tate and David Tennant.
Well,
that's the most important thing, establishing that relationship between Donna and the Doctor.
Exactly, and that's what they were building in this episode completely. And how the season was going to run between them, and the scene. When he's on the catwalk outside, the window washer, and she's on the other side of the portal door, and they're just like talking back to forth. It was just awesome.
That was brilliant.
Yeah.
That was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, that was a very unique way to reintroduce these two, and perfect in every way. To the joke, or like the punchline is that while they're doing this, everybody in the room is watching them.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. That was a great cutaway
Not
to
fooling anybody. Yeah.
She needs to
Exactly.
talk.
Yeah, Mrs.
But
Foster.
the reactions between both of them when they first, the recognition of of each one, where the doctor's just, he goes from and then bewildered to further bewildered. I mean, he just keeps getting more and more bewildered with his reactions of how? No, seriously, how? And
Yeah.
she just brightens up all of a sudden.
Exactly.
And being able to
It's
go
me,
through and
you know?
and he's like, I
Exactly.
can see that. And that both of the actors, I mean, they were able to do that in a script without talking, and it was simply just miming, and you're far away from one another. So they were able to film that, and it worked with these two characters so well. And I think that because that we all have friends or family or whatever, that if you can almost, like, you feel like you share the same brain cell, where you can communicate with one another without just saying anything. We just, you just start miming stuff, and one another can talk, can translate that. And that really is rooted into a really deep, great connection of friendship or what have you. Reintroducing a character, and that the two of them are able to do that, I think that really kind of solidified their chemistry right at the get-go, and that they didn't really have to do any more building for the next, the next episodes following the season.
No, exactly.
And I think they desperately needed that reintroduction, because I know that Mike and I were not the only ones who were not happy with her coming back for a full season as a companion. Like, that was, people were really kind of nervous about it, and with some reason, but
it was interesting because the story moved, and it was interesting. The stories this season, pretty much most of the way through, were very strong, going through all the way to the final, with the Daleks all the way through. And then the little introduction at the very end of a very familiar ex-companion, the blonde who I will not speak.
Without that.
The blonde who I will not speak of. Yeah. And so
The one who must not be named.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of a double-edged sword. On the one hand, after the Doctor and Donna, decide, and I want to talk about that scene because I think it's really incredible, when she, finally does get on board the TARDIS. But after that, you're kind of like, okay, we've got a new companion now, we're ready for adventure, and then they cut back, and then we get like Rose again, and then it's almost like, man, the whole mood of this episode just changes at the end. Like, all the music from Murray Gold is introduced with this, the Rose theme again, but it's so like intense and slow, and you're just kind of like, what is happening? Like, it's just really, is a big, I don't know. It's almost like a kick in the gut, really. I mean, and that doesn't mean I didn't want her to come back, but it's almost like you just did all this. I know you didn't, but it's like, wow, what does this mean? And it just seems a weird way. It almost undermines Donna in a lot of ways, right in her first episode.
Well,
it almost undercuts her.
Well, if you think about it, not only did Rose come back that season, you also had, the companion from the previous season come back for multiple episodes.
Yeah. Well, Martha comes back too, but it's like, that's later. As far as this episode goes, and I think I think this is the first time I can recall anyway that, getting back to that scene where she, they get to the TARDIS, and Donna's really like, let's go. And he's like, this is the first time I can recall the Doctor like hesitating and being like, you know what? As much as I'd like to have somebody with me, I do damage to companions. This is not gonna, talk about foreshadow, this is not going to end well for you. And in some ways, it ends worse for her than any of the other companions. Later on, we find out. So, looking at this scene, knowing that, it really is powerful, I think. And yes, he does really want somebody, and I think ultimately he wants her. But it's a real big switch, because usually he's like, "Come on, let's go on an adventure," and this time he's like, and the companion's like, "Let's go."
Let you know.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought it was a really, really good scene between the two of them.
Well, in this episode, you also saw how lonely the Doctor was, because you remember the scene where he was in the TARDIS working on the device, and he was like talking out loud, waiting for the companion to go, "Doctor, what is it?" or something, and there was no one there, and you felt how lonely he was in that scene. And it was like
without that stuff, I don't know if I would have been, even at the end of this, as thrilled with Donna. But like, that kind of showed me that, okay, we're going to go through some stuff here. And it's not just like, hey, it's not just business as usual. Grab a companion and let's go.
Mm-hmm. I liked that scene at the end when the two of them are talking, and they did the little joke of him just being kind of exasperated, like, "Look, I just want a mate. I just want, I want a friend." Mm-hmm. And to me, it was almost as if RTD was kind of telling the audience, who was who was very divided, more so in can the Doctor stop having love interests, and can we just get back to science fiction? Because that would be really cool. Because you had the Rose thing, but then you had the Martha thing, where I think it was a great problem with Martha, this character, that they wrote her pining for the Doctor, and it's like, why? She's such a brilliant character. Let her just be awesome. So that's my own little gripe with Martha's part. I don't think they just they didn't just do her justice. So I think this was finally that little moment of going, can we not have romance at all in a Doctor Who one? Can we just have two characters getting into trouble through the galaxy in space and time? So I kind of, to me, when they're going back and forth, and she just kind of, it's like, I'm not going to mate with you, sunshine. What the heck is wrong with you? I almost kind of see that as talking to a little bit, at least to me, and the audience going, yay, we get to actually just watch and have fun. Science fiction. I don't want romance right now.
And
then Rose showed back up.
Of course.
Which I get was probably a look, his little telling audience, look, this is going to have a huge arc. Here's our foreshadowing, but maybe not in her reintroduction. Maybe Rose could have popped up the second or third episode to kind of start, putting the little seeds of, hey, we're working to something.
Well, I think he's doing two things. I think he's doing a couple things. He's also like hedging his bet for those fans who are not that excited about Catherine Tate joining. He's kind of giving you like, hey, Rose is coming back.
Rose is still around.
Exactly. Like, so I think, there's a little bit of that. But I always look at when Ten says, when he's talking about his time with Martha, because Donna asked him about Rose and asked him about, Martha, whatever. And he said that was complicated and, ultimately didn't work because it was my fault. And I'm like, that's RTD apologizing.
Oh, very much so.
That he ruined a great companion by making her love sick.
Yes. It's like, please watch Torchwood, where we'll make her a lot better. And let her do her thing.
That's the way I interpret that anyway. That's RTD's apology.
No, and that fits perfectly, too, because, basically, she was the rebound. And basically, when he said, I just look for a mate, to hang out with, and she's like, I'm not going to mate with you, buddy. And it's like, yes. And it was just awesome. It was just awesome. Martha was great. And like everyone said, she was a great character that wasn't utilized well enough. And then for them to throw her with Mickey was just a slap in the face at the end.
Well, yeah, that was just ridiculous. But that's what happens in RTD world. It's like Donna, he undermines Donna at the end by taking away all her agency, and then, but it's okay because she got married.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
No, it's really not.
Nope.
No.
Yeah, I haven't really thought about it before, but if we look at the RTD era and specifically how he treats the end of the companions, like what happens to all of them, they all end in really bad ways. Like, it's just like, Rose gets a replacement Doctor. What happens to Martha is better, but I think the way she's written after this is not great. Putting her with Mickey, it's like she can do better than a tin dog. And then of course Donna is just the most tragic of them all, I think.
Oh yeah, but it's interesting because I'm going to rewind us a little bit and bring us back to this episode. You remember the Adipose? These guys. We have to talk about those a little bit. It was pretty awesome. That this story though, it was interesting because, like you said, it wasn't huge monsters, but it was the monster in this one was actually Miss Foster out of everyone. And the
evil nanny.
The evil nanny, exactly. And she was perfect at that. It was just like, why would, a company like, Adipose Industries have security guards with like automatic weapons and such, these guys running around. It was just ridiculous. And it was over the top in a lot of ways. And, a friend of mine actually said, I was talking to him about a month ago about this episode, and they were like going, this episode was being accused of fat shaming a lot, because of, the little adipose guys. And
well, I actually could see that. I mean, I could see why they would say that.
Mm-hmm. And, doesn't everyone want to be skinny? And, the whole thing. And just not everyone who's overweight is on diet pills, or, some people are content with some of their weight and stuff, but, other people, are trying to fix it. But it was just felt like, let's make these people feel worse, that we're going to kill everybody off who's heavy. It's just like, no. And then the scene with,
but that's what a bad guy does. I mean, the bad guy, a good villain goes against someone's vulnerability, and I could see where, there's a lot of companies out there that do take advantage of overweight people and sick people. And so I just looked at it that way. I mean, sure, you could make a case for it, but I certainly don't think it was the intent. And I there are worse cases out there.
Of course. Look at The Biggest Loser. Come on.
I mean, and really, it's kind of unrealistic. I mean, if an alien race wanted to go and feed off, morbidly obese people, they definitely wouldn't go to Britain. They'd go to America. I mean,
wrong countries. Yeah.
She was like, I can't believe we're in this hotbed. I'm like, just an ocean over. You've got prime candidates for you right now. You could get 10 billion. That's everything's London centric. I get it. So
when there was the episode where it was like the alternate kind of reality where the doctor had died, and remember it was like everybody was sent out to camps and everyone in their homes and the Titanic had fallen.
Turn right.
Turn left.
Turn left.
Turn left. Did they mention that had happened in America? I want to that actually that it didn't happen here. It in Turn Left. It happened over
no,
in America.
It happened in Britain. It happened all around the world.
Oh, it did. Okay.
Yes.
I remember.
No, that was one of the things that they said happened. All these people disappeared overnight because the weight loss and stuff, and it was interesting to see, and so question for you guys. Did Donna, institute that woman's death by her turning that necklace in the house, and that woman she was visiting, started having all the adipose popping out of her? I know Miss Foster finished it off because it was unscheduled, and so she said, "Just finish it,"
Donna, in her investigation, gets one woman killed and gets a reporter kidnapped or captured. That's what she does in her investigation. Because if it wasn't for Donna bumbling around, Foster wouldn't have known about either of those. So, that's her investigation skills right there.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if she had actually done something to cause woman.
It's not directly, but I mean,
Yeah, because there's the little pill could
I mean, it's not
twist.
intentional, of
No,
course.
right.
Oh, it wasn't intentional, but she started it.
Yeah, she was fiddling with it.
Yeah.
Because if she hadn't been fiddling with that, and if she hadn't taken it and fiddled with it, Foster would have never have suspected either of those people, and they'd both still be around, I guess.
Oh, and it was totally dumb, the whole thing with the reporter being tied up and, the doctor, untying her, but then she got tied up again. And then the police would not untie her, that she was hopping through the...
Yeah.
That was over the top.
That was just
the
like...
reporter wasn't even really necessary.
It's par for this
story.
episode. I mean, look, I was watching the episode and Michelle came in and she was watching it with me. And the part where Foster is, being abducted in the air and all of a sudden the light turns off and she hangs there for like a good, 5-10 seconds and then drops. And Michelle said, this is just like a cartoon. And I'm like, this whole episode is a cartoon.
Yeah.
I mean, it really I mean, you guys mentioned it before. It's, it's got that shtick quality, that vaudeville, that, but I mean, it really is just over the top and silly and, which is fine. It's fun. And the adipose, I mean, we haven't really talked about them, but I think they did a pretty good job. They had a pretty challenging challenge in front of them, actually. To make something like this little creature, like kind of cute, And,
it's adorable with the one little tooth and everything. It was great.
One little fang or
big
tooth or
eyes,
whatever.
little marshmallow type guy.
I'm almost curious to see what the parents look like.
I mean, as we've seen before in stuff that like in movies and TV, when they try to introduce some little cute alien thing or whatever, sometimes it works horribly wrong. Like it goes horribly wrong. And yet I think it's despite that, they're pretty disgusting when you think about it. Like, I don't know if you would actually want to touch one. I mean, they're
little
cool.
walking pieces of fat.
Yeah, they're walking pieces of lard.
Well, even Donna saying, "I'm waving at fat."
Yeah.
It's that part where you're just really showing off that's a cartoon and that whole world right there. Just like, am I really doing this? Because it's cute and it's little garbled, little tiny little kind of voice. So it's very because it's a baby, it's infantile, it's cute, it's a cartoon. So it's like one of those monsters that how can I hate it because it's adorable, but you represent a bunch of dead people. So
exactly.
Yeah, we're getting a few mixed messages here.
Exactly.
One of these days, we're going to see an adult one.
I wouldn't mind.
And what does that look like?
Well, exactly.
It's true. We don't know what they couldn't make their own. What was it? They couldn't make their own offspring, so that's how they subbed it out to Foster to make more and to make their children.
Well,
so it'd be interesting to go what was on that ship.
That's another bit of foreshadowing too. That they mentioned that the reason that there's a issue here is because the Adiposian planet disappeared, and so right there we get that's a hint of planets are disappearing. That's gonna mean something later on to us.
Well, not just that, but they also mentioned once again the Shadow Proclamation in this. But also another piece of shadowing I never caught until I watched this time. Did you notice the taxi cab that came to pick up for the woman who got turned into the adipose and such? When Donna went out, oh, she's not here anymore. He says, but where's my feet? And he says, oh, she's gone, mate. That type of thing. It had an Atmos sticker on the window, and that played into the Santarin episode. Because that's what...
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I didn't notice that.
And so it's just like, oh, wow, they were planning it even then. Awesome.
Well, to be fair, this is the 4th episode filmed. So they knew a few. They had an idea of what some of the episodes were, prior to this. So they were able to use that, I think. But
very much so. And so I thought it was pretty awesome, and it was just neat, the little things in it. And I think like you said, it was basically just meant to reintroduce Donna and put her on everyone's good side. you know, and they did a great job at it. They did a
in a very
job.
cartoony way, in a very light and cartoony way. Another point that I wanted to make too is that, you know, it's similar to the Runaway Bride. We get the 10th Doctor, like, you know, approaching Miss Foster and saying, you get one chance. I'm warning you. This is a warning. And if you don't do this, I'm going to take you down. And we know that he means it. If you've not watched any of the other episodes, if you've just seen just the only other one with Donna in it, you know that he means it. Like, he will take you down hard if you do not comply.
Oh, very much so.
But he's very sympathetic in this one to her. I mean, he actually tries to save her at the end.
Oh, well, he does. And, you know, hey, because he heard the message, what was said, and, you know, that basically they were already planning on getting rid of her. And, you know, he was trying to warn her. He was saying, hey, come on, get up. You know, they're not going to be keeping you around. And she was just so headstrong. Oh, they need their nanny, you know, type thing. And it's just like, no, they're going back to their parents. This is what happens then. They don't need a nanny. Then the light turned out. And it was like, it was just like, and like you said, it was very cartoony. Just her like standing there for like 10 seconds floating in air.
Yeah. Looking down.
That's very Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah.
But you know,
that
pride goeth before the fall.
Wow, Mary.
As it fell. Oh my goodness.
How was that for timing?
Right.
That definitely, you know, works in telling us how far both characters have come since Runaway Bride. When Donna says to her, you've gotten older, you've changed, you know, you've matured a little bit. I mean, it's ironic that she says that to him, but she notices, because last time, you know, he took a villain out. I mean, there was darkness and flames behind him, and he looked like he was like the second coming of the devil, you know, and here, you know, he's trying to save her. He's trying to help out. He's not all about vengeance, and he's in a little bit better place, I think. And I thought
that was a nice nod to Martha.
Yes,
too.
Absolutely. Right. Martha was good for him, and he even admits that. And that's when he apologizes. Which I'm like, you could have apologized to her.
To her would have been good. Too late there, buddy.
Yeah, too late. She's moved on. But the only other thing I wanted to mention about this episode is the first time I seen it, and actually talking about it up until recently, I didn't get the title. I didn't get the title at all. I just thought it was just this cute little Partners in Crime title. But since then, I've you know, been I binged a lot of like Agatha Christie stuff and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, because Partners in Crime, and this is, you guys probably know this, but for those people who are like me and were baffled by like, well, that's because it, you know, because Foster calls them that. She says like, oh, you're a couple of partners in crime, eh? And it's like, I mean, I thought it was because they broke in, you know, like, oh, they're criminals, but really, she's referring to them as detectives, because Partners in Crime is an Agatha Christie detective series, which is, I think, Tommy and Tuppence, I think, are the two characters, and they solve crime and get into trouble doing that. And this is very much like in that style of like, you know, two young detectives just bumbling around and trying to solve a mystery. And so I did catch that this time. So I patted myself on the back for that.
Good job, Mikey. We're so proud.
You go, boy. Yeah, if you watch that sort of English cozy mystery genre, yeah, you definitely would recognize it.
Yeah, which I think, in, you know, for us Americans, it just whoop goes right over. Like, we don't, what? Partners in Crime? That was a sitcom with Linda Carter and, no, sorry, that was a long time ago. Oh, wow. Sorry, showing my age there.
Wow. Okay, there. All right. Any final thoughts before we go ahead and rate this one? Okay. Wow. The adipose were really cute. No.
Donna is awesome.
Yeah, okay. See, those are good final thoughts. All right. Let's go ahead and rate this one. 1 out of 5 TARDISes, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. You know what? we will have Melanie go first. She's the one who picked this one. So
Well, because I picked it, you're going to probably already guess I'm going to give it a 5 because I absolutely adore this episode for what it is. I know it's cartoony. I know it's, it's got a lot of, slapstick kind of stuff. So for what it is, I love it. So 5.
that's awesome. All right, Mary.
I'm going to give it a 4.5. I mean, there's some little nitpicky things about it, but it's a wonderful episode. It's a really good introduction of a companion, and it's one of my favorite RTD episodes, and I'd recommend it to anybody.
Okay, Mikey.
I'm going to give it a 4. It's great. It's great fun. I mean, yes, it's ridiculous, but in a good way. I mean, in a way that you just want to, you're just along for the ride, and it's just fun, mainly because of Catherine Tate and what's the name of the doctor guy? I can't remember.
Tennant, I think.
Yeah.
David Tennant. David, is that right? David something? Yeah, right.
Sam Tennant.
But just, because of their chemistry and everything, they make it work. And, it's a great way. Like I said, it's a lighthearted way to introduce Donna, because certainly the next episode, she's going to be taken to, she's going to be a wreck at the end of the next one. The next one's going to be too intense. So it's a good way to sort of balance that out.
That is, yeah, I could definitely see that. And it's interesting because I was going back and forth what I would rate this one. And I'm going to be with Mary and say it's a 4.5. Seeing Rose at the end, kind of pulled it down for me.
Half a point for that.
And,
you lost half a point.
It lost the half the point right there. But overall, I loved it. I thought it was a lot of fun. And this was the beginning of a really great season, a really good season. One of my favorites, actually, of the Tennant era. So definitely think we got some good stuff ahead of us. If you haven't seen these episodes, folks, please, you're missing some great, great stuff. So please go ahead, watch it. Let us know what you guys think. Please write us, earthstationwho@esonetwork.com. Definitely would love to hear from you guys. All right. Melanie, thank you for being here tonight. We really appreciated it.
Well, thank you. I just love being on another show and being able to chit chat with more different people and talk Who. I love it. Thank you.
Good pick too.
Exactly. Great pick. And you can only talk to Christian so many times. So, it's always, it's nice to see new faces.
It's good to see other podcasts every once in a while.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's that open relationship thing. It's okay. You're allowed to see other podcasters. So it's good. And you're always welcome back anytime you'd like.
Well, thank you. I love that.
Exactly. And Mike and Mary, we made it through another one. We did 250 episodes, folks. This is awesome. We're not going to have cake. We're not going to have any big celebrations. We talk Doctor Who like we always do. And that's big celebration enough, which is awesome. So, Mr. Mike, thank you again, as always.
And as always, it's been my pleasure. On from when we started this on Earth Station 1 and then broke it off to its own podcast, getting together and talking Doctor Who is always a fun time with you. So thank you, sir.
Oh, dude, it's my pleasure. Mary, thank you as always, and thank you for being an amazing co-host also.
Right back at you. It's been wonderful spending this time with you guys. I love talking Doctor Who with you.
Do you want to promote your stuff?
You can find me at maryogle.com or on Etsy at eVision Arts.
Excellent. And everyone out there who's been sticking with us, there are folks who listen to all 250 episodes. You guys could be winning an award too. You guys should be troopers.
Yeah, that's amazing. I haven't even listened to all 250 episodes.
I've had to edit all of them. So yeah, it's, it's a cool thing. And, folks, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for supporting us, for just sticking with us. And, I know there's so many other podcasts you could be listening to, but, it makes me feel a little special when people say, hey, keep on doing what you're doing. We love it, and keep on going. Just don't talk about, tire all of the time, Lord, and we'll be in good shape. So it's good. So
hey, there's some people who want us to do that. So
yes, I know. Speaking of episodes, we are going to be back again in 2 weeks when we are going to be back at the third Doctor era, and we are going to be looking at the Time Monster. So it should be a lot of fun to look at John Pertwee. It's been a while, actually, since we've looked at him. I think the last one we did was the Silurians. So it's been a bit since we've talked about that.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, and it's kind of ironic because in the Silurians, the Silurians spread this virus going around to people, you know, that people all around the world very quickly. Kind of something like that's happening now, isn't it?
That does
Might be
that
topical.
does sound slightly familiar.
Yeah, I know. Foreshadowing on Doctor Who.
Weird.
Go figure. So it should be a lot of interesting. But until then, my name is Mike Faber. Thank you guys for everything. Until then, stay safe. And we'll see you here next time on Earth Station Who. Peace. And we are done. Boom.
Woohoo!
Hey, look, an adipose.
You have been listening to Earth Station Who, a bi-weekly pop culture podcast dedicated to all things Doctor Who, featuring talents from across the universe. All topics on the show are the sole opinions of the individual and are used for entertainment value alone. You subscribe to our podcast up on iTunes, Stitcher, or follow our blog at www.esopodcast.com. You can also follow us up on Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. If you enjoyed the show, please leave feedback up on iTunes.
Hey everyone, this is Carrie the Metal Geek, and I would like to invite you to hang out with myself and my fellow metal geeks as we have all kinds of discussions about heavy metal, films and TV shows, video games, theme parks, comic books, and whatever else is tickling our geeks. Please visit our website at metalgeekspodcast.com and follow us on all the social medias including Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Metal Geeks. We are also proud members of ESO Network, so you can check everything out at esonetwork.com. Keep it metal, keep it geeky, stay safe, and see you on the next episode.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping through Amazon.com or the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.